Hello my loves, welcome back to Lavendaire. Let's talk about how to stop being so hard on yourself, how to heal this inner critic that you might have inside, how to let go of this unnecessary pressure or expectation that you're putting on yourself all the time. Today I'm gonna break down a few different types of foundations and reasons that will lead to you having this tendency of being hard on yourself, and hope that you can have greater awareness and some actionables by the end of this video. First of all, raise your hand if you feel like you have any self-destructive habits, being hard on yourself, being your worst critic, and putting yourself through like pressure and stress when it's not always necessary. I'm sure too many of us do this, myself included, and this past year has really been an exercise in undoing these old beliefs that I have, understanding why I tend to push myself so hard, why I put such high expectations on myself, why do I stress myself out, why am I hard on myself for no reason at all. The first exercise you can do is to journal to this simple, straightforward question: why am I so hard on myself? So write that on your journal and start to answer. And I encourage you to ask why at least 4 or 5 times. The reason why you want to keep asking why is because usually your first answer is a surface level practical answer. And so you have to ask, okay, why does that matter? Why do I do that? And then you just keep peeling back the layers. And I think this is a good first start to gaining awareness of why you are hard on yourself. Why are you making life harder than it should be? Your goal is to try to uncover these old beliefs or stories that you've told yourself that are the foundation of how and why you are the way you are. If you dig deep enough, I find that the underlying thought and belief that causes you to be this way is, I'm not enough. I'm not doing enough, I'm not good enough, I'm not pretty enough, I'm not blank enough. Fill in the blank with whatever you tend to tell yourself. This underlying belief is what causes us to feel terrible about ourselves. It ruins our confidence, and it really puts us down and holds us back for no reason, because we are doing it to ourselves. And if you dig into the reason why you believe this belief, I find that at the deepest levels, it has to do with your notions of love, worth, safety, and survival. So as you journal and as you dig deep, ask yourself, how is this related to either my feelings or desires of love, worth, safety, and survival? Don't worry if you don't have like an aha moment after this journaling session, because you really are like an onion and you're peeling back the layers one at a time, and sometimes it takes years to peel back these layers as you go through life. But the first very important step to change is awareness. So that's what we're trying to do. For the first step is to just build awareness. And I shared those guiding posts to help you find what that belief or what that story or event is to you. I'll share a little bit about my story and the reason why I've discovered I can be so hard on myself. This is actually something that I've been working with a therapist with, and my healing meditation yoga instructor with as well. And I've had so many newer revelations in this past year. So before I get into my story, I do want to thank BetterHelp for sponsoring this video. So BetterHelp is the tool that I use to speak to a therapist on a weekly basis. I just do a phone call, but you can also do video calls or chat. So BetterHelp is professional counseling done securely online. Once you sign up, BetterHelp will assess your needs and match you with your own licensed professional therapist. The service is available for clients worldwide, and you can log in anytime to message your counselor. I like that you get to schedule sessions on your own time. You don't have to deal with commuting or waiting in waiting rooms like with traditional therapy. BetterHelp also makes it easy and free to change counselors if you don't like yours, and you can cancel anytime if you don't like it. I've switched therapists a couple times because it took me a little bit to find someone that I really vibed with. Like, I really like my therapist's energy and I like her approach. BetterHelp is more affordable than traditional offline counseling, and financial aid is also available. BetterHelp wants you to start living a happier life today. So if you're interested, you can try BetterHelp at betterhelp.com/Aileen and join over 1 million people taking charge of their mental health with the help of an experienced professional. So that's betterhelp.com/Aileen to get 10% off your first month. All right, on to my story. So to tell you in as brief as possible, because I don't want this to be too long, I realized that I needed to make a change in my mental health. When I got to the point where I was successful enough, I had enough subscribers and views and money, I had more than enough in my life to keep me happy and safe, and yet I found myself still stressing out about the numbers and pushing myself to work so hard. And I would ask myself, why am I still stressing so hard? Why am I feeling like I have to work so hard to keep achieving and get to the next level? Oh, this level's not good enough. Let me keep doing more and more. Like, why can't I just be peacefully content with everything that I've built so far? Like, I found myself just pushing myself unnecessarily. And this tendency to push and work so hard leads me to burnout. So I just started questioning, why? What's the reason I'm doing this? Because I have everything I need. Why am I suffering? So for the past 2 or 3 years, I've been exploring this topic of how can I slow down? How can I do less? Even when I'm trying to do less, why do I feel guilty for doing less? Why do I feel guilty on days I'm not productive? And really like unraveling the inner reasons of why I push myself so hard. So if I'm being honest, the popular negative self-talk that constantly plays in my head are the thoughts of, I'm not doing enough, I should be doing more, I could be doing more. And when you have a career in social media, the amount of things that you could be doing is nonstop. You could be making more videos, you could be making more TikToks, you could be doing a book and this and this and this, and it's just never ending. And working through therapy and healing has made me realize that this has been a lifelong habit ever since I was a kid, to push myself, to always want to do more and be the best and overachieve. And it goes so deep. Essentially, I realized that the reason I am this way is because I was raised with a dad that has super high expectations on both me and my brother. And when we were young, there was even like fear injected into that. Like, you have to be a good student, you have to get straight A's, you have to go to a good college, you have to get a good job, blah, blah, blah. You have to excel and be the best. And if you're not good enough and you don't get good grades, we're gonna send you to China to live with your dad and go to school there. And that idea was terrifying. I did not want to live with my dad in China. I liked my life in America when I was young. So there was that fear. There was also fear around, if you don't succeed in life, your dad will cut you off and you will have to support your mom, your brother, like financial reasons, like put into me, like you have to be the one to support the family. Those two reasons were tied to my sense of survival. So I had to be a good student, I had to achieve in order to survive, because if I didn't do it, it threatened my life. It threatened my feeling of safety and survival. And growing up with a dad with such high expectations, anything that we did, it just never felt good enough for him. And obviously, because he left our family, there's that abandonment issue. And so I do know that the feeling of achieving and showing him that I was successful, showing him that I was worthy, that's also tied to my sense of self-worth and also my need for love and acceptance. And so success to me, when I was growing up, success equaled my worth and success equaled love. And it becomes this cycle of positive feedback where you do well, you get praise for it. So you're like, oh my God, I like that feeling of praise and love. So let me do well again and get more praise and more. And it just keeps building on top of each other. So I kind of grew up that way, where I fed off that acceptance and approval from others. And anything that threatened that was terrifying. And so my self-worth was not rooted in myself. Nobody taught me that you are worthy no matter what. So I think a lot of people's worth is displaced and they don't even realize it. And it's only up to the point that this whole system breaks down and you realize that you're mentally unhealthy operating that way, that's when you start to realize, okay, I have to heal this. It's funny because this tendency is often celebrated in our society because it works. People who tie their sense of self-worth with their productivity or success, they tend to do well in life because that's what they need to survive. That's what they're living off of. And the people that you see who are successful, making a lot of money, doing big things, and they can't stop, a lot of them have this root of insecurity and their worth being tied to something it's not supposed to be tied to. And of course, there's still ways to succeed in a healthy way, but there's also a lot of people who are driven by fear, by this negative way that is not good for the long term. So let's continue exploring this topic. More exercises you can do. Let me break it down further for you. The first step to healing your inner critic is to recognize what is the broken record happening. What is the negative self-talk that just plays over and over and over? So start to write down and make a list of the typical things you tell yourself, because it's different for everyone. Like I said, mine was, you're not doing enough, you should be doing more, you're not good enough. And I think other people's might be, you're worthless, you can't succeed, you don't deserve this. So write down the typical things that you play on repeat in your mind, and for each thought, ask yourself, where does this come from? Is this my thought, or did I get this from somebody else? Did I get this from media? Did I get this from society? Where did this thought come from? Because it definitely didn't come from you. Like, you didn't have this thought when you were a baby. So it must have come from somewhere outside of you. So dig and figure out where that came from. I found out that my negative thoughts came from the high expectations of my parents. And after you recognize that it comes from somewhere outside of yourself, you can start to be like, oh, okay, it's just a thought that came from outside of me. Like, I don't have to believe this. Who said it's true? Nobody said it's true. The next exercise you can do is work with your child self. So close your eyes, imagine yourself as a child, like 5 years old. If it helps, maybe you can just look at your baby pictures and put it in front of you, and imagine that child telling herself these negative thoughts that you are telling yourself now. Then, as an outsider, what would you say to that child version of you, knowing that she's thinking these thoughts and feeling this way? So whether you want to talk to yourself in your mind or whether you want to journal this out is up to you, but this is a very powerful exercise because it helps you see yourself and your thoughts from a more objective point of view, and to recognize that these thoughts are irrational and they're not helping you. Likely, you'll find that the way you speak to a child is much more gentle and loving than you would typically speak to yourself. So why are you being so harsh on yourself? You are still that inner child. You still want those things that that child wanted when she was younger. So speak to yourself, tell yourself everything that you wanted to hear, and let me know if you do this exercise because I'd love to hear your thoughts after doing it. Like I alluded to in my personal story, healing the overachiever in you, or the part of you that has expectations and puts pressure on yourself, has to do with understanding where your self-worth is rooted in, where your sense of love or survival, safety or security are rooted in. The first thing I want to say is it's not your fault. This is likely rooted in your childhood, and if you grew up in the US or any competitive nation like the US, you likely hold a belief where productivity and success is tied to worth and value. This is just part of society and how the culture of industrialization, capitalism have kind of ingrained these beliefs into us. The fact that you have to be productive to be deemed valuable and worthy. A book that I highly recommend that explains this is the book called Do Nothing. It explains that it's because the industrial era that we started to see time was money and productivity was worth. And we started to teach people to squeeze as much productivity as you can out of people in order to gain the most output, because it was literally about manpower and labor. And the way our school systems are structured are still based in the industrialization era, because that system and schedule was meant to prepare you for work in factories and to prepare you to be the most productive and rule-following people. Aside from doing the mental digging and reflection, unraveling and understanding yourself and why you are the way you are, the next exercise that I recommend for high achievers, overachievers, is to make time to relax. It's super simple, but we need to carve time into our schedules to do nothing and to relax and to physically relax our bodies of the tension that we hold in our bodies. Like, I don't know about you, but you probably have tension in your neck and your shoulders and your back that you hold on because you care so much and you're pushing yourself so hard. So I highly recommend yoga, going out for walks, physically moving your body in a way that can help you relax deeper. Breathing exercises, meditation. These are things that I talk about often on my channel. It might sound, typical and cliche, but you gotta do it. Are you relaxing every single day? Sometimes we're hard on ourselves because we have low confidence and a lot of insecurity. And having those two things can really cripple you in life because it's a negative cycle. You're not confident, and so you don't show up as your best self, and then people don't see who you really are, and then you feel less confident. You're not allowing yourself to be your fullest, most authentic self because you have a level of fear that you hide behind. I find that this level of insecurity comes from how you grew up, whether your parents were really hard on you and didn't think you're good enough, or you experienced bullying growing up. Like, a lot of things as a kid can really hurt your confidence and cause you to be insecure for the rest of your life. And it's really sad to see that. It's really sad to see someone not understand or see how beautiful and powerful they are. If you can relate to this, it's likely that you haven't built a habit of celebrating yourself, celebrating your wins. You probably brush off any achievements or wins like, oh, that's not a big deal, that's small, I'm still not that great. So on the flip side, my exercise for you is to start celebrating yourself. Make a list of all the things that you like about yourself, all the things you want to celebrate about yourself, rather than focusing on the things that you don't like. Make a list of all the wins that you can be proud of in your life, even though they may be small. It doesn't matter how big or small it is, celebrate it and recognize it. See value in who you are and the things that you've done. A mindset that's super powerful is to be able to look back and see how far you've come and be able to be proud of that. If you are watching this video, you have lived a life up to this point. So there are so many things that you can be proud of looking back. Maybe you just haven't paid attention to it. Another exercise you can do is something I'll just call shine brighter as your true self. The first part of this is to look to all the people that you admire in the world, whether they are alive or from history, and make a list of all of their personality traits and characteristics that are the reasons why you admire them. So maybe you admire people who are smart, who are creative, who have integrity, honesty, courage, right? So make a list and keep that somewhere where you'll know that list of personality traits that you admire. And then the second part is to make a Pinterest board or a mood board of visuals of people and the lifestyle that you admire. Whether it's in the clothes they wear or the places they go, the things they're doing with their life, just make that vision board, mood board of visuals that inspire you. These two exercises will give you a good clue to the ideal person you want to be. You want to be the person that embodies all of these personality traits and characteristics, and you want to be the person who looks visually like the people that you admire and the life that they are living. And then after that is, okay, how can I start embodying these things in my life? And that will be step by step. Maybe it starts with something simple, like buying this outfit that I really like on this person. Let me find something similar so I can feel more confident about myself. I hope you see what I'm getting at. You're essentially making a blueprint for your ideal self, your truest self that is shining bright, because likely your current self is like a muted version of yourself. So it's a lifelong exercise of trying to shine brighter as your truest self. The underlying goal and lesson on how to stop being so hard on yourself is to learn to love yourself unconditionally. With all of the things that I talked about today, all of the exercises I shared today, at the root of it is learning to love yourself. And that's it. Being loving is being gentle with yourself. It's being supportive of yourself. It's being positive with yourself. These are things that we've talked about. Self-love is not a new thing now. You guys should know by now how important that is, but it's a journey in getting there. It's a journey in transforming, because You're essentially like releasing, peeling back, and throwing away these old beliefs, these old layers of you that are not serving you anymore. It's not serving you to put unnecessary pressure on yourself. It's not serving you to have an inner critic. It's not serving you to just be hard on yourself. Why be hard on yourself when life can be so hard already, right? The ultimate commitment to self-love is recognizing that I am not going to put myself through any suffering that I don't have to put myself through, because if it's unnecessary, I can let go of it from my life. Having true love for yourself is doing everything you can do to support yourself and allow yourself to thrive. Our goal is to thrive in life and shine as our best selves, because only then will you be able to feel confident and free. When you're loving to yourself, you can be more loving to others and the world. And we all know we need more love in this world. As cheesy as it may sound, it's very true. So I'll end it at that. Let me know what you thought of today's video, my exercises, and my story. Let me know if you can relate. Comment down below, and I love you so much. I will see you next time. Bye.